I want to talk about walking seen, true visibility, not to other people, but to yourself. And I have a little breakdown here, so you might see me look at my screen a couple times because I want to make sure I stay on track and get you the information that you need. So, what I mean by living in self recognition, I'll tell you a little bit of a story. So, story time again. Um, Living with my mom, she was schizophrenic for most of my life, between the ages of 6 until she passed when I was 24. And during the time that I lived with her, I felt like I wasn't seen. I didn't feel like really seen, And a lot of you can relate to that. A lot of people can relate to that. And however, in whatever capacity that may be. But the one thing that I realized that made me feel seen by my mom was excelling in academics. I wasn't a genius by any means, but I did very well in school. And that was one thing that was truly important to her. She strongly believed, being from a culture, like a West Indian background, school is everything, right? They always want you to do better. Parents in general, they want you to do better than they did. But in our culture was very, like in our house, very, very like important that you were academically sound and you went on to post-secondary and you got a good job. Don't know what that means in this time, day and age. But back then, yeah, like no less than a teacher, no less than a doctor, no less than a lawyer, no less than a nurse. Those were like, okay, approved, so to speak. And even though at the time I didn't know what I wanted to do, I did know this. Oh, I connected that. If I did well in school, my mother would pay attention to me. She would praise me. She would, want to be around me, talk to me, all the things that I craved. And so I excelled, like reading, writing. I did fairly well I did in school. And I remember the few times where, she would smile, and it was a genuine smile, But her eyes, something about her eyes, I always remembered. 'Cause my mother, she would smile, but even when she smiled, her eyes were so sad. So sad. Very sad. I never understood why. And I think it had a lot to do with just not having support around her. A committed support system, a community. Now, throughout the years, we met a lot of people. We moved around a lot. We lived in shelters a lot, stayed with family. My mom knew, she was very resourceful, so she knew how to obtain certain things. But she didn't have a stable community around her. It was usually just us and her. And throughout the years, maybe one or two, maybe give or take one person at a time that would be around my mom. Because she wasn't a very, she didn't have a lot of friends by any means. She wasn't a people person. She was a nice person. She was a very kind person. But she didn't have a lot of friends. And, throughout the years, being, doing well in school, and then, just thinking that having this tough exterior, especially when I got to high school, having this tough exterior, like showing like, yeah, I'm independent. I'm doing my own thing. By the time I got to high school, I was living on my own. So I was going to school, working, and I had a couple really good girlfriends, right, that I'm still friends with to this day. But I just carried myself with a certain vibe where, listen, I got my shit together. Whereas deep down, I didn't. On the outside, I looked, pretty, I looked polished, but I still felt empty, I didn't feel whole because I was doing all of these things in hopes that people would respect me, people would see me and really want to like get to know me as a person, right? Especially my mom. And I had to learn that true recognition is not earned, okay? It's claimed, and you have to be the one to claim it. Again, I said in a previous video, how you view yourself is how you view others, right? Your perception about how you look at yourself, how you treat yourself, what you say to yourself, what you don't say to yourself, what you do to yourself, what you don't do for yourself or to yourself, is how you do everything else, right? And if you don't recognize your own self, then how can you expect anyone else to recognize you, to respect you? Because you see, when you recognize yourself and you respect yourself, you move in a certain way, you move in a certain frequency. There's a certain vibe about you. And people may not be able to explain it, but they know it because they can feel it. You know what I'm saying? And so a lot of this, way of doing things throughout the years was over performance, because hoping that if I did more and more and more, people would just, like me, and not realizing that all the doing that I was doing, people may like me or gravitate towards me, but that may be because of what I'm doing, not because I'm Fallon. So there's a few things that you can do to overcome, this feeling of inadequacy, of this feeling of not really caring about yourself or showing yourself that kind of love. There's daily practices that you can do for self-recognition. Daily practices. Okay? Here we also talk about routines, rituals, things that you can do daily or weekly to ground yourself, to activate the true you. Because it's all about remembrance. It really is. It's all about remembrance, remembering who you really are, and then expressing that to the world in all of your authenticity. So I would say a good activation step would be have a daily scene check-in. So you're going to write one sentence. Today, I see myself by smiling. The sentence doesn't even have to make sense. The whole point of it is that you are recognizing yourself. And every day that you write a sentence like that, today I see myself by, or today I see myself as a woman of purpose. Today I see myself as a woman who takes the time to say I love you. Today I see myself by hugging myself. Today I see myself by stepping up to the plate, taking the reins on my health. There are many, 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 many things that you can see yourself as, see yourself by. The point is, today I want you to start seeing yourself, because that's where it starts. Let me know in the comments if you've decided to try this practice or a variation of it, because there's no right or wrong answer here. The point is doing things that acknowledge you. You acknowledging you. And we're all multidimensional. We all have different ways of tapping into ourselves. The more and more you do practices like this, guess what's going to happen? The more your internal, your intuition will speak up and show you more ways that are effective for you in particular. And then you can share some tools and practices with other people. So I would love to see more, hear more from other people. All of you guys, any of you guys out there that have your own experiences. And share with the community. Because you never know who needs to hear your story. You never know who can relate to you. Right? We're all in this together. So, we'll chat soon. Take care.